It's time for our college football recap. Back on Thursday, way back in the Wayback Machine, me and Ishmael Johnson answered some burning questions about the college football weekend. Let's see how we ended up doing. What do we got going on?
An oof for the first one. Do you buy that the Mean Green offense has figured itself out? Wet fart.
That's a no. That's a big no. I'm gonna go with a no. Actually, you know what?
You're going out on a limb there, man.
Final answer is no. I'm gonna go with no. That was a putrid performance.
It was embarrassing.
A putrid performance. I don't think there's really any two ways about it. And look, I think it's just fair to say that they're just going to play off the string. I mean, this is a lost season.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Seth Luttrell can rally the troops to get a couple wins down the stretch, but the offense was dreadful. Most especially, they were dreadful throwing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They were really bad. They were really, really bad. Now, part of it is they had to, but Austin Aune goes 16 of 30 for 121 yards, no touchdowns, an interception. He took 2 sacks. And it's the same problems, which is the offensive line can't protect, and inaccuracy is just a huge problem. They were dreadful offensively in this game. And, there's no reason to think that they figured itself out. It's over for North Texas. It's over, and I think it's over for Seth Luttrell.
I agree.
What's next, Pickle?
Up next, another oof here. Why is Texas a touchdown favorite over an unbeaten OSU team? And another second half that they just stopped playing.
Well, you know what's funny? I think we saw why they were a touchdown favorite.
Mm-hmm.
We saw why they were a touchdown favorite, and then we very quickly saw why they were wrong.
Yep.
Which is Texas, for long stretches of this game, looked like they were going to run away with this game.
Oh,
they were driving up 17-3.
Mm-hmm.
They were up 17-3 in the second quarter, right before halftime, driving deep in Oklahoma State territory, and you're thinking, all right, worst case scenario, they're coming out here 20-3. 17 points.
Yep.
And then pick six was the biggest play of the game, in my opinion. Turned the whole tide. They go 3 and out. Oklahoma State goes down, gets a field goal. They go into halftime. Instead of 20-3, they go in 17-13.
Yep.
And you're just like, here we go again.
Yep. It was literally instant flashbacks.
So the funny thing is, I can see why Texas was a favorite.
Yeah, OSU is not hot take. They're not very good.
I think they're fine.
They're fine. There's nothing special.
But they're not. Yeah, exactly right. Like, they're undefeated, but they're not undefeated in the same way that Georgia's undefeated.
Right. I don't think Spencer Rattler really.
You mean Spencer Sanders?
Sanders has really anything. I mean, yeah, obviously Spencer's not doing too hot.
He was fine. He was fine. He was fine. That was what he was. I don't think he was especially good in this game, but in the end, he made the plays when they needed to, and the defense stepped up in a big way, and Texas kind of farted.
And
down,
you can't
they
do that
farted
at home.
and fell down the stretch, and that was what ended up happening. What's next, Pickle?
Up next, let's head over to Texas A&M. Is Zach Calzada's big game last week a flash in the pan or the new normal? And they got a 35-14 win over your Mizzou Tigers.
They did.
Shout out the suit.
And look, I'm not. I mean, there's nothing to make me think that it's not a flash in the pan. Because here's the thing, that's a bad Mizzou defense.
Yep.
And now they didn't. They got the running game going, obviously, and that ended up buoying them. But I am a little concerned now. I'll be honest. I'm a little bit concerned because I think that the passing game took a pretty sizable step backwards. He threw a bad interception. And look, he ended up going and running away, but he was passing the ball. He was a net negative in this game. As far as expected points allowed and expected points per play, he was a net negative passing the ball. And that's not going to cut it.
Nope.
It's not going to cut it down the stretch with much tougher opponents than Mizzou coming up. The running game ended up being absolutely sensational in this game, and it ended up not mattering how he threw the ball. But he was not good. Zach Calzada was not good in this game, and so I don't know. Like, it's one of those things that I think for A&M fans, you take the win and you run, and you don't apologize for it.
Right.
But I think that you still have some concerns about Zach Calzada from week to week.
Yeah, they're going to play much tougher teams.
Oh yeah, much tougher defenses.
Yeah,
most
Mizzou.
certainly. What's next, Pickle?
Up next, make a play on the over-under of 48 for Texas State, 31-28 against Troy.
So it ended up being the over.
Yeah, which y'all both took the under.
We both took the under.
So, wrong.
And this game ended up being, what's funny is that this game ended up being, I want to say at halftime it was pretty high scoring. Like, I knew we were toast at halftime because of the way that, like, they came out. I want to say this game was like 21-17 at halftime or something like that. So, yeah, I knew we were toast at halftime. Look, it's same song, different verse for Texas State. Like, this was, give a little bit of credit to the offense. They were able to figure a little bit of things out, but barely. They could not run the ball for the life of them.
No, it was bad.
Horrifying. They were, and as a result, they were asking Brady McBride to go out there and do everything, and he was okay, but not good enough. And in the end, a lot of the little things ended up dooming them. They were -4 the turnover margin. That seems bad. Seems bad. But in the end, look, they kept it close. Maybe that's a sign of life. They were in this game into the third or fourth quarter. But I don't know. I think it's a lost season for Texas State too. Just disappointing. What's next, Pickle?
Up next, on a positive note here, what happened to Baylor's offense last week, and is it sustainable? And they take down a ranked BYU program at the time, 38-24, in a really good showing. Yeah,
and here's the thing. We mentioned the thing that happened last week was that the offensive line got on track and started playing really well. Well, they were excellent against BYU. Excellent again. And that offensive line's starting to figure it out. They're giving Gary Bohannon time to throw. Abram Smith had a huge game. Treston Ebner had a couple of big runs as well.
It looked like a complete team out there. It was really impressive.
It looked very complete. It starts with that offensive line, and that's where it's got to start for them. If their offensive line plays well, then they're going to be pretty good. They played really well against BYU. They come away with a win. I think it may be sustainable. Now, I thought BYU was a little overcooked at 19.
Yeah.
And they're tougher. I think that this is pretty clearly their best win of the year, in my opinion, even better than Iowa State. But, tougher tests ahead. They get a bye week, and then they get Texas. They still got Oklahoma on the schedule. Yeah, I think for if you're Baylor, you're feeling pretty good about the way your offense is trending right now. So good doings there for Baylor.
Up next, we are going to go to Texas Tech. Matt Wells is on the hot seat. There's no question about that. But is there anything he can do Saturday to change that? And I think both of you said not really, unless he got blown out. But with a 41-14 win over Kansas, they did what they needed to.
Yeah, and you know what? I will just say, pretty good. That's what you should do on the road against a team that you overmatched, is that game was over in the second quarter, basically. They came out. The offense looked really good. They rang up 452 total yards. They were especially good. Really a good balance to what they were able to do. They were able to throw the ball with Henry Columbia a little bit. They didn't ask him to throw a ton, but really the running game took center stage. The running game was excellent in this game. Even being -1 the turnover margin, they were able to come up with a big win and dominate a team that they should dominate. And so if you're looking for signs of life for Tech, I mean, it's so strange to mention this, but like it is worth bringing up, guys. Texas Tech, and maybe you guys haven't noticed this. Texas Tech is 5-2. I'm sorry, they're 5-2. And we're talking about Matt Wells being buried and stuff like that. They are 5-2.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe they figure it out. I mean, the rest of their schedule.
I think it's just the way that they've lost when they've lost has just
for sure.
Embarrassing.
Look, the two losses stink, and one of the wins stinks in Stephen F. Austin, right? But they're going to play Kansas State this week. That is at home.
That's a
very
real telling game.
Very winnable game. Very winnable game. I don't know. Like, there's tougher tests ahead.
Yeah, they've got Oklahoma after that.
But as far as a bowl game is concerned, they could be bowling after this year, and we could still be talking about Matt Wells on the hot seat. It's a strange situation. What's next, Pickle?
Up next, how about those nationally ranked Roadrunners after they absolutely put a beating on Rice, 45-0. But is there suddenly a reason for concern of UTSA's defense?
What a dum-dum I am.
The answer to that was
no. It wasn't going to be against Rice. It was going to rear its ugly head against Rice.
No.
And the defense absolutely smothered Rice.
Yeah,
Rice couldn't do anything. Rice's passing attack. Do you know how many yards they threw for?
I do not.
36. They went 8 for 16 for 36 yards. They did throw. Well, the strange thing is they did throw 2 touchdowns. Or I'm sorry, that's not true. They threw 2 interceptions.
I was like, they did not throw a touchdown.
No, they didn't throw 2 touchdowns.
It was a shutout.
It was a absolutely dominant performance defensively. Look, Rice's offense is bad. They still haven't figured it out, but give a lot of credit to UTSA. That's what happens when a good team plays a bad team, and give a lot of credit to UTSA's defense, who I think answered the call after a couple of weeks of kind of shaky performances. They were playing with their hair on fire, and now they are nationally ranked. What's next, Pickle?
Up next was our small school game of the week. Are you buying that UT Permian Basin as a legit Lone Star Conference contender?
Yeah. Unfortunately for UT Permian Basin, this didn't go the way that they were planning.
34-14.
34-14. And Angelo really jumped all over them, 20-7 at halftime, and then pulled away in that third quarter and really never looked back. You could even say that 34-14 is generous.
Yeah.
A really impressive performance from Angelo. I think this is a comeback to earth kind of moment for Justin Kerrigan and Permian Basin. They kind of got to retrench from here and see if they can figure things out. I would say it's disappointing for UT Permian Basin, but for Angelo, you feel good about that win, and maybe you could be that kind of spoiler there in the Lone Star Conference, which is suddenly still wide open. What's next, Pickle?
Up next, the question for TCU was over-under on 175 yards of rushing against Oklahoma. That game ended 52-31 in favor of the Sooners.
Yes, it did, and TCU ran for a grand total of, I'm pulling it up, we said 175. Boy, that was a good line. They ran for 183.
I think you took the under.
I think I took the under, too, but... Talk about setting a good line.
But you're pumped about your line.
I'm pumped that.
How did you do it again?
I basically looked at like both averages and
then just split it.
Kind of split the difference. Look, so Zach Evans didn't play in this game.
Yeah.
That's obviously hurt them. Kendry Miller did have a couple nice plays, but they were functionally without their best player, they were able to run the ball a little bit, which is promising, but the defense continues to just be an absolute train wreck. And they got torched by Caleb Williams. Mm-hmm. Torched in every conceivable way. Kennedy Brooks ran for 153 as well. I mean, the defense, it's strange. We live in bizarro world where TCU's offense is like pretty darn good, and their defense is a train wreck. It's really disappointing. All right, do we have one last one?
We sure do, and that was, I'm sorry, do you hear bowling pins in the distance here? Is Jacob Cowing the most underrated receiver in the nation? And how about the Miners, 19-3 over La Tech, and they're 6-1.
I sat here on this very program.
You did. We could pull the tape.
You could pull the tape, and I told you they're winning this game.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, they did.
Handily.
And by the way, even with the question, we kind of nailed it.
Yep.
Jacob Cowing, he didn't have a touchdown. 9 catches, 166 yards receiving. Okay? Let me pull up the national rankings as far as receiving is concerned. I mean, this guy is going to have a legitimate claim to being like on some All-American teams.
Yeah.
He's been great. He's 9th in the nation in receiving yards per game. 9th. Jacob Cowing at Ding Dong UTEP. Bowl eligible.
Did you see their video of the bowling and the players fell down? Amazing.
That was great.
So good.
Super fired up for them. That's awesome.
Yeah. The Sun Bowl was rocking too. I don't know
man.
if you saw any videos of them kind of like all the fans in the little corridor portion right there by the mine shaft, but it was amazing.
It was awesome, and you feel great for Jacob Cowing and UTEP and what they've been able to do. I asked some people. I didn't really get a response from anybody on Twitter, but I was asking some Arizona high school football people if Jacob Cowing was a big. He's from Maricopa High School in Arizona.
If he was a big deal in high school,
if he was a big deal, because like he's a big deal now, and I don't know. It's talk about a diamond in the rough that they found, and they are cooking with grease right now, cooking with Crisco, and the UTEP Miners are bowl eligible. So there it is, your college football recap.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.